Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with the SCP Explained video. Today is, well, another proposal. This one's called Plague's Proposal, and it's actually a dual entry for both 001, the first SCP, and SCP-5770. No idea who that one is, but considering this one's part of the 001, this might be interesting. Also, I'm covering this because they look down below. It's apparently a petty class, which never even heard of, so let's learn more about this plague proposal, huh? So be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoyed. Let's check it out.
MTF agents scramble through the crowd of bloodthirsty, hypnotized festival goers. Up on the stage, a pair of living statues hold down a screaming man as they produce medieval instruments of torture from an antique case. Maybe this time the agents can stop it. Maybe they can prevent all the horror and bloodshed. But one thing stands in their way. A man-sized, cartoonish dove costume flying down towards them, wielding a large wooden mallet that would only bring death and destruction. Needless to say, even by Foundation standards, this one is going to be weird. When you found yourself sought out by the SCP Foundation's recruitment division and offered a role in the research department, they made sure to inform you of the risks. After all, a workplace injury in this line of work might be far more serious than slipping on a wet floor or developing carpal tunnel from typing all day. Working within the ranks of the Foundation, you could be the unfortunate victim of any number of dangerous anomalies, whether it's SCP-096 appearing behind you after you accidentally caught a glimpse of it as a single pixel in a photo, or if you were in the wrong place at the wrong time whenever SCP-682 next broke out, then chances are you'd be receiving an early redundancy and a closed casket service, if there's even enough of you left to bury. It is the one thing you never want to happen, the scenario you're constantly warned about from the moment you join the Foundation, a containment breach. Anything can be the cause of an anomaly breaking free of containment and spreading untold chaos in the process. Whether it's the result of a particularly cantankerous SCP that doesn't take kindly to being locked up, an act of earnest human error with disastrous consequences, or even international sabotage enacted by a group of interests trying to seize anomalies for their own purposes. There is no telling when or where a containment breach might occur, or is there? Despite all the resources at their disposal, specialized facilities spanning the globe, advanced technology, and a nearly inexhaustible supply of personnel to contain SCPs, the Foundation still manages to suffer catastrophic casualties as a result of containment breaches. But surely, if they're so well equipped, such breaches should be almost impossible, right? Well, yes. So what causes them? What if every containment breach, all the loss of life, the further spread of anomalies, and the destruction of Foundation property incurred was all caused by an SCP? Not a living entity, mind you, more some kind of latent anomalous phenomenon that triggers containment breaches without warning. The prevailing theory surrounding this phenomenon is even itself considered to be an SCP within its own right, referred to as SCP-001. Of course, as many of those well-versed in the history and practices of the SCP Foundation will already know, SCP-001 is a designation shared by a number of anomalies. Some are believed to actually exist, while others are speculated to just be falsified covers created to mask the real SCP-001.
True, with hard ways to determine these SCPs, well, aside from a few, Gate Guardian, the Scarlet King, all that, right? Those can be proven. Others, not so much. But you get the idea, right? So, apparently this 001 can apparently cause, like, a random containment breach. Which, actually, when you think of it like that, would, like, explain why a company that could, like, fund millions or billions of dollars and have all the high-tech stuff could still have a containment breach, Makes a lot of sense. But might as well see what else we got about this proposal.
From beings such as the Gate Guardian and the Scarlet King, to the existence of God's blind spot and even the Foundation itself, each of these SCP-001s are nicknamed after the Foundation researcher who proposed them for the designation. and
Yeah,
often
true.
considered to be some of the first, if not the very first anomalies ever encountered, or at least documented. In that regard, this SCP-001, Plague's proposal, could well be one of the very first latent anomalies to exist, explaining why so many SCPs were uncontained prior to the Foundation being established, and why even now, with all their resources, containment breaches are still a worryingly frequent occurrence. There are multiple anomalies that appear to have been directly affected by SCP-001, at least according to the research of one of the Foundation's directors, Director Legg. While he might be drawing conclusions and seeing patterns where there aren't any to speak of, Legg reasons that the circumstances of these specific recorded containment breaches seem to indicate that SCP-001 was at fault. The first of these incidences Director Legg focuses on in his research is also the one we'll be focusing on for the remainder of this video. It is designated as SCP-001-1. SCP-001-1 previously went under the designation of SCP-5770 and is an annual anomalous event that occurs in the Piazza della Signora in Florence, Italy. The event consists of an unscheduled festival that goes on for a period of 10 days, wherein anyone present within a 10-kilometer range of the affected area suffers a mind-altering effect that compels them to attend the festival. However, SCP-001-1 is not a well-documented, long-running festival of great cultural significance to the people of Florence. Neither is it an event that is widely advertised. Yet those who have experienced the psychic draw of this anomalous festival are driven to attendance. During the course of SCP-001-1, two anomalous entities that resemble the statues created by Michelangelo during the Renaissance will host a show where they take to the stage to judge people they deem to be sinners. This pair of statue creatures will call upon the audience and bring those they've designated sinners up onto the stage with them, and will then enact makeshift, grueling punishments. These have been noted to resemble the acts depicted in Dante Alighieri's Inferno. So if you ever need any further proof of how hellish these punishments are, we recommend asking an art expert. The moment that SCP-001-1 ceases and the festival comes to a close, any and all in attendance are subject to yet another form of anomalous mental alteration, and will proceed to instantly forget the event. Any of the horrific tortures performed on stage becomes unknown to those that directly witnessed it, leaving them unaware of anything that occurred only moments prior. So given the Foundation's extensive knowledge of this festival, its gruesome proceedings, and the effects it has on those in attendance, you might be forgiven for expecting them to have a fairly well-established method of keeping the event contained, presumably setting up a cordon to keep attendance out of the area, administering amnestics to any that might have been affected by SCP-001-1's anomalous mind-altering. But then...
yeah, remember that second part? The whole everyone in that radius would just suddenly forget the festival ever existed? So... but... wouldn't they figure out, okay, here's the time frame, we gotta get our buddies in there, see if that festival's coming, and once that sacrifice happens, we get in there, stop it. Though, remember that opening where we saw the giant pigeon? I think that's a part of the SCP, -2? I don't know. But still doesn't explain, why it causes outbreaks. Does each punishment, relate to which of the, SCPs are gonna break out? At least that's what I'm thinking, but anyway.
You remember SCP-001, the theory behind what could be the cause of containment breaches. As a result, the Foundation has still been unable to establish containment of the event formerly known as SCP-5770, and Director Legg's research has tied this issue with containment to SCP-001, hence the festival's redesignation to SCP-001-1. Following the initial discovery of an anomalous annual occurrence in the city of Florence in 1985, the SCP Foundation's head researcher, assigned to what was then known as SCP-5770, was one Joseph Pasqua, former site director at Site-322. Pasqua was, according to the incidents recorded on the Foundation's own database, somehow manipulated by one of the anomalous statue creatures that performed the show during occurrences of SCP-5770. It was thanks to the influence of this entity that Joseph Pasqua deserted his post at the Foundation and went into hiding. The fact that the influence of one of the performers of this festival was able to extend its influence to a senior member of the Foundation was not only troubling, but also constituted a containment breach. Pasqua would later be tracked down by Foundation agents operating in and around Italy. He was discovered 30 years later after his desertion in Vatican City as a member of the Papal Conclave, a specially selected group of Catholic cardinals that are charged with electing a new pope. If the former site director was still being influenced by the statue creatures, it is highly likely that he spent the previous 3 decades climbing the ranks of the Catholic Church, potentially to install a new pope at the behest of the entities responsible for conducting the torture of the Florence Festival. Another recorded incident of a containment breach surrounding the event that seemed to lend credence to the existence of SCP-001, the anomalous cause of breaches, occurred the year following SCP-5770's discovery. In 1986, the Foundation was observing the proceedings of the festival as part of their ongoing investigation into its bizarre nature. On site were agents of Mobile Task Force Zeta-66, better known under their unit's codename of the Guardian Angels. During the festival, MTF Zeta-66 operatives noticed the presence of a previously unknown entity associated with the anomalous event. The Foundation was already aware of the pair of seemingly living Michelangelo sculptures, designating them as SCP-5770-1 and SCP-5770-2 respectively. This third entity, despite being given the designation of SCP-5770-3, had its own preferred identification for itself. The being referred to itself as God's Strongest Soldier and resembled a mascot costume of a dove. Approximately 2 meters tall, this creature's body was entirely hollow. There was nothing within the costume. The costume was its body. The responding agent of MTF Zeta-66, codenamed Zeta Turquoise, was the first to confront God's Strongest Soldier and was greeted with quite the opener.
Tweedly-dee, tweedly-da, God's Strongest Soldier is my name, getting rid of sin is my game.
Confused at the creature's demeanor and presence, Zeta Turquoise called in a report to command, stating that a large birdman was harassing random attendants of the festival. When Turquoise moved in to confront SCP-5770-3, the creature repeated its assertion that it was God's Strongest Soldier, and that its aim was to get people into heaven. The agent requested that God's Strongest Soldier get out of his way. He had a job to do, but the bizarre birdman responded with more whimsical nonsense.
Burger, sandwich, fruit, and fries, you just told a big fat lie!
God's Strongest Soldier proclaimed.
Tweedly-deep-doo-da, deedly-deep-dop-da, pa-pa-da-pa-da-da.
Upon Zeta Turquoise's attempt to push past the creature, SCP-5770-3 produced an oversized wooden mallet, seemingly from out of thin air. It then wound its arms back and immediately, viciously, struck the MTF agent. A low-orbit Foundation satellite reported not long after that an object had been detected exiting the Earth's stratosphere. Analysis confirmed that it was, indeed, Zeta Turquoise. Yes, he was literally yeeted into Earth's orbit by a cartoonishly large wooden mallet. As for the entity known as God's Strongest Soldier, the bird-like creature then proceeded to attack the other members of Mobile Task Force Zeta-66 in a similar fashion, making sure they got to heaven in every sense of the phrase. With multiple recorded instances of containment breaches occurring in relation to the festival in Florence, and happening—
I'm surprised they didn't try to just snipe the frickin' bird. Like, seriously. Like, you see the giant hammer and like, take it down. Holy crap, it's a bumble. Oh no. Keep firing! Like, seriously, why are they rushing in? Don't they have a sniper rifle that can penetrate this stuff? Anyway.
So frequently, more and more evidence of Director Legg's theory about SCP-001 was being validated. In 1988, the Foundation attempted a different, more pacifistic approach to containing the annual celebration by attempting to cordon off the entrance to the area of Florence where those compelled to attend the festival usually congregated. There was additionally a cover story issued to the public, stating that this was done as a quarantine measure to keep residents away from an area hosting a potentially dangerous infection. For a time, this seemed to be working. The streets were quiet, local residents seemed to be going about their business and paying little mind to the Foundation operatives in the area. That is, until the mind-altering effects of SCP-001-1 took hold. A mass of people, estimated to be over 100,000 Florentines, charged towards the cordon-off area. This mass of people swept through like a tidal wave breaking through a dam, causing Foundation personnel to be trampled alive. Those that survived the initial rush were attacked by civilians, in what seemed to be a coordinated effort to reach the gatherings area for the festival. All Foundation agents in the area were terminated in short order. mercilessly slaughtered and then cannibalized before anything that remained of their bodies was
Jeez.
dumped into the Arno River nearby.
Good
As well
lord.
as being evidence of the sheer mental alteration the statue creatures and the festival itself were capable of. For Director Legge, this seemed to indicate something further. If an anomaly, SCP-001, was truly responsible for all containment breaches,
Jesus.
allowing them to occur in spite of the measures taken to prevent such things happening, then the phenomenon seemed to be occurring specifically to prevent the Foundation from achieving containment of certain SCPs. Legge's theory developed with every passing breach that involved SCP-001-1. In theory, the festival should be an average Tuesday for Foundation staff, a relative walk in the park in order to contain it, if not outright stop it from happening at all. Yet despite all their resources, manpower, and expertise in all things anomalous,
getting knocked
the Foundation had been thwarted at every turn. Despite how illogical such occurrences seemed, containment breaches were still occurring at an alarming rate, and perhaps none more so than in relation to SCP-001. The following year, 1989, brought with it the most inexplicable breach yet, and further proof for Director Legge's theory about SCP-001. While the previous breaches were undoubtedly anomalous in nature, each always carrying with the possibility that somehow, despite the low odds, the Foundation missed something. Some human error or previously undiscovered information about the festival could have led to Pasqua's alteration, or the arrival of God's strongest soldier. But this time, it was undeniably that a force beyond the scope of the Foundation's understanding was altering
this I gotta
reality
hear.
to prevent them from containing the festival in Florence. An invisible barrier manifested at every entry point to the main area of the anomalous event. Whenever a member of Foundation personnel tried to get in on foot, those that attempted to access the festival area via rappelling out of helicopters instantly caught ablaze and burned to death the moment they touched down on the ground.
Seriously?
Any helicopter transports also crashed on their return journey to Site 322, and
hell?
God's strongest soldier was seen trampling on the wreckage before flapping its arms and flying away. It was following this incident that Legge was
Yeah,
promoted to
that
position of
is no
Site
way.
Director for Site 322 as a replacement for Joseph Pasqua, who was still
Pasqua.
missing at this time. The newly appointed director was yet to devise his theory that there existed an anomalous cause for all containment breaches. However, during his introductory briefing, he was presented with the file regarding SCP-5770 and the various examples of it not only being uncontainable, but being very good at not being contained. Director Legge asked if some of the more standard methods had been attempted. At this point, the Foundation had tried aerial bombardments of the festival, Scranton reality anchors to counteract whatever anomalous force was preventing containment, even using SCP-682 to clear the area.
Seriously?
It had all failed. Figuring
How?
out why was now Director Legge's job. All the information of previously failed attempts to contain the festival led Legge to the conclusion that SCP-001 must exist. An unseen phenomenon, the missing piece of the puzzle, the element specifically interfering with the Foundation's efforts. He presented his proposal to the Overseer Council, who were skeptical, to say the least. They posited that the statues
explain
and
the
bird
barrier?
mascot creature might be smarter than the latter's outwardly cartoonish nature portrayed. But this is exactly what, to Director Legge, indicated SCP-001 was responsible. He explained that all in attendance at SCP-5770's festival took the event seriously, but the appearance of God's strongest soldier was an abnormality, whose demeanor and tone were drastically different from the rest of the rather cutthroat proceedings. Director Legge explained that the sheer absurdity of this creature seemed to be the result of SCP-001 interfering with their operations. After all, if some other cause was to blame, like an unknown cult attacking Foundation personnel when they attempted to contain the festival, then there would be evidence of that. And Legge would have no reason to suspect that God's strongest soldier was anything more than just a tonally dissonant part of the festival. Of course, Director Legge couldn't prove the existence of SCP-001 based on the presence of one cartoonish bird mascot at a festival. But
it's the
before
pending
long,
class, okay.
more and more breaches would start occurring that seemed to further prove that Legge was onto something. There was something else at work, causing containment breaches that put the entirety of the Foundation in jeopardy. Now go check out SCP-001.
Yeah, that does sound like something's going on with that SCP. And I don't know what's causing it, but it's definitely strong enough to, go through reality. And the fact that it was, even when they were trying to contain it, the cordoned off area, it just made the people just run in, eat them up, and just party like nothing happened. Like, if there's nothing else involved with this, and it's just responding to the SCP Foundation, yeah, that is definitely something going on there. Like, what the heck? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Till next time, see ya.